welcome to this week's episode of ECCB Connects. Do you have abandoned properties at a commercial bank? You're not sure? Kechewia Charles, banking officer in the Banking and Monetary Operations Department, explains what are abandoned properties and how you can claim such properties from your commercial bank. Kechewia, welcome to ECCB Connects.
Thank you, Sherman, and I'm happy to be here.
Kechewia, we often see in the local newspapers commercial banks publishing what they call a list of abandoned properties. But this list doesn't refer to houses or land.
Not at all. Abandoned property refers to deposits, and when we speak of deposits, we talk about savings deposits. You could have had time deposits, which are fixed deposits. Generally, we also refer to abandoned property as shares, any funds used to purchase shares and the dividends attached to those shares, and checks payable, credit card balances, and the interest on these accounts are considered to be abandoned property. There's another type of abandoned property, which are the contents of your safety deposit boxes, which the bank holds on your behalf. Those are considered abandoned property also.
What would cause these items at a commercial bank to be rendered abandoned?
Well, the Banking Act stipulates that abandoned property balances, which are those savings, the shares, the dividends, the interest on those accounts, the Banking Act stipulates that those are considered to be abandoned after 15 years of inactivity. So generally, if you do not deposit any monies to your account, you do not take out any money from your account, you have never gone to the bank to request a statement or anything, after 15 years, your account is inactive. Now, for the safety deposit boxes, after 5 years, because generally those incur a lease or rental fee. So if you have never paid those fees over 5 years, then they become also abandoned.
If an individual sees his or her name on that list of abandoned property, what should he or she do?
Those lists will be published by the financial institutions. Note here is that we're speaking about licensed financial institutions. So those are the institutions which are regulated under the Central Bank Act. And though they are required by the Act to publish these lists between the first day to 90 days of their end of financial year. And those will be published in Gazette newspapers. Also, the central bank publishes a monthly list of these abandoned property which are submitted to them by the financial institutions after the 90-day requirement. Now, if I see my name in a newspaper or on the central bank website, for instance, I am required to go to the financial institution where my name is listed under. That financial institution is liable to tell you what is required by you in order to make that claim. Once you have met those legal requirements, they would make the claim on your behalf to the central bank, because those funds will not be held at the bank anymore. After 90 days, they're transferred to the central bank. And so when the bank makes the claim, we will resubmit the funds to their account that is held with the central bank, and they will make the payment to you. For validity purposes, we require the banks to send to us a confirmation after 2 days using authenticated SWIFT to say, this is how we have paid the funds, and the funds were indeed paid to you. If we don't get that after 2 days, we follow up and we ensure we get it. If the funds are not paid to you, for any chance you left the country or you die and the funds are not paid out, the bank is required to resubmit the funds to the central bank. So at no point, once the funds are considered or the safe deposit boxes are considered abandoned, those are not held by the bank anymore.
By the commercial bank.
By the commercial bank.
Okay.
As it relates to the safety deposit boxes, now that's a different story, because the balances are transferred to the central bank, but the safety deposit boxes, which is a new requirement under the new Banking Act, the financial institutions are required to submit the contents only of the boxes to the Minister of Finance in each of the countries. So if you live in St. Vincent, for example, you are required Once you consider those items abandoned, you're required to take them to the Ministry of Finance, and we have administrative procedures in place which guides how the Ministry and the Ministry of Finance will administer that requirement, and the banks will take the contents there. Now, you can subsequently claim from the Ministry of Finance, but the Ministry of Finance has the legal right to sell those items that they hold after a certain period. And all of this information is on our website. So you can visit the website under the abandoned property link, and it will give you all the requirements. So the minister is liable to have auction sale, and those items will be sold, those that can be sold, because you would appreciate that these boxes might have in will, probates, documents that are unsaleable. So those are going to be held in safekeeping, and the ministries are working with the attorney generals in the different countries, because these are your legal documents. You can come to claim them at any time. But those saleable items can be sold, and once they're sold, the proceeds will come to the central bank in an account for that particular country for that purpose at the central bank. Now, within that time, you can still come to claim. And if you make a claim for an item and it has been sold, you are entitled to the proceeds. Now, the proceeds may not be the exact amount that it was sold for or the exact value, because it's an auction sale, so it may be less value. And the Ministry of Finance will take out their, administrative cost. And also, if you have any outstanding rental fees on those boxes from the financial institution, the ministry is required to pay the commercial bank those fees. So it will be the lesser of the amounts. And you can claim, and the Ministry of Finance will tell you, like the financial institution, what is required by you. Once they are satisfied that you're the legal owner, they will request the funds from the central bank, and you will be paid the funds.
Okay. What happens in a case where, for example, the name on the list that the owner is dead, kind of family member claim?
A family member can claim, yes, but you will have to have legal documents showing that you are the person who's executing the estate, or this was willed to you. And once you present those documents, you can make the claim.
Kechewia, let's say there's a case where a property at the commercial bank is a joint, let's say a joint account. Who can claim?
When these properties are submitted to the central bank, we do ask the commercial banks to ensure that they keep records of what they have submitted, because when they are submitting those claims, it has to be the exact way that we received them initially. So let's say last year they submitted for Tony A. George and Susan George. That implies a joint account. It means that two people has to sign to get any monies on that account. And it's the same thing. So Tony George is not able to go to the bank now to claim those abandoned funds by himself. He has to get Susan George to also sign to claim those funds. And there's another one where it can be Tony and or Susan George. Now, any of those persons can claim the funds. So you have, for instance, sometimes Tony goes to the bank and Tony requests the claim, and the bank tells him he's not able to access the claim because Susan is and the joint account. So those, you have to be very careful. People may not remember after 15 years the names on the accounts, so the banks will guide them. For instance, also, because we ask the banks to keep records of what they submit to the central bank, when they do submit those claims to the banks, they have to exactly match. And if they don't exactly match, the central bank will not pay the funds on those claims. So we ask banks to keep good records so that when they're submitting, that the customers can get their funds when they're ready. So those are some of the things that hinder the execution of claims on behalf of customers.
You mentioned earlier that an individual who wishes to claim abandoned property has to check with the respective commercial bank. But we've received email messages and telephone calls from individuals asking about their abandoned property, seeking information. What happens then if an individual tries to claim their abandoned property through the central bank?
We do get those type of communication, and we always encourage the customer to go directly to the commercial banks where the names are listed. Now, it may have been on our website, and our newly enhanced website has it laid out very clearly which bank, which country, and you can see exactly where your funds are. So once you see that on our website, you go directly to the commercial bank, because if you claim from the central bank, we are unable to honor the claim because the funds were submitted by a bank. It has to be that your claim is made through the bank, and the bank will make the claim to the central bank on your behalf and make those payments.
What if an individual is experiencing difficulty with a commercial bank? Can they seek any sort of redress through the central bank?
Well, yes. We would ascertain that you have visited the commercial bank and held some discussions with them. And if you're still having problems and we can identify that you have an abandoned property listed, we would try our best to see how we can intervene so that the matter can be addressed.
Kechewia, thank you very much for speaking with us on ECCB Connects.
Thank you for having me, Sharon.
You're watching ECCB Connects, protecting our currency, developing our region. And now for this week's financial tip.
Hi, I am Kishan Brown of RBTT St. Vincent's. It is never too early to begin planning for your retirement. Planning for retirement should not be put off until later. The time to plan for your retirement is now.
To view any episode of ECCB Connects, anytime, any place, at your convenience, check out our YouTube channel, ECCB Connects.
We've come to the end of this week's episode of ECCB Connects. If you're interested in finding out if you or your relatives have abandoned properties at a commercial bank, check our website. The address is at the bottom of the screen. Thanks for watching, and do join us again next week when we'll be back with another program.